evening, Mr. Speaker.
Good evening.
I stand to make some general statements, and then I do have a couple of questions for the proponent. The first thing I'd like to say is that I do believe this is a well-intentioned piece of legislation, and frankly, it's been co-sponsored by many people who I have very high respect for in this chamber. I am the mother of two children. My daughter, Brittany, is a junior at Seton Hall University, and my son will be a college freshman next year. For those who know me, they know I've been struggling over the last several months because my daughter has just come back from an amazing experience where she was able to study abroad in a program on a cruise ship, and she has just come back from visiting 15 countries around the world. And there is no bigger fear than a mother of a child who is traveling in foreign countries that are certainly not the greatest country in the world like ours, who are suffering with all kinds of issues, whether it's poverty, communism, and all kinds of things. And so I've spent a lot of time over this last several months worried about her and her safety. She also turned 21 a few weeks ago, which brings its own level of concerns as a mother. But today I stand here looking at the clock, and that clock now is showing me that we have less than 150 hours to the end of session. And we have big problems in the state of Connecticut. Our budget is in the forefront of my mind, and I'm pretty sure every member in this chamber. And here we are, less than 150 hours to go, essentially debating legislation that's already being done across our campuses in Connecticut. Today, I received the latest report of our revenues, and once again, it's on the decline. And the harsh reality is, by the end of this week, we will most likely be facing a deficit in 2017 of over $1 billion. $1 billion. And every day, every single day, my constituents, my friends, my town managers, my first selectmen, and state employees are frantic. They're frantic because we don't have a plan. We don't have a path, and they are very concerned we are not going to balance our budget by May 4th. So my question through you, Mr. Speaker, is I took the time today to do some research on this issue because obviously I've been looking at a lot of other things, and I came across a report called Not Alone. It's the first report from the White House Task Force to protect students from sexual assault. And my question through you, Mr. Speaker, is does my good colleague on the other side, is he familiar with this report through you?
Representative Haddad.
Through you, Mr. Speaker, no.
Representative Ziobron.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And so this report was done in April of 2014 by President Obama, and it's specifically a task force to protect students from sexual assault. And when you read through the report, on page 14, it talks about the importance of rape crisis centers. And I'd like to know if there's anything in this legislation that talks about rape crisis centers through you.
Representative Haddad.
Through you, Mr. Speaker, in the specific legislation in front of us, no. I would, though, add that 2 years ago when we adopted a broader set of policies regarding college universities combating sexual assault, that we did require them to have collaborative arrangements with off-campus sexual assault crisis centers, and that remains the law even after the adoption of this legislation.
Representative Ziobron.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'm glad to hear that. And this report goes on to talk about how important it is to develop partnerships, provides a sample of a memorandum of understanding and other things. So today, Well, I was reviewing the Democrat proposed budget, and I went through it line by line. To my surprise, the proposed budget that was released today on page 6 that has a line item, rape crisis, funded from the Department of Public Health, and another line item called domestic violence shelter coming out of the Department of Social Services, have a combined cut of over $100,000. So it makes me perplexed, because when I first decided to run for office, and I met with my speaker at the time about which committees I wanted to be on, and what I always learned in my local community was you have to follow the money. If you want to know where your priorities are, follow the money. And yet, in the document that my good friends on the other side put out today, there is a cut to that very line item, rape crisis, that's supposed to be part of a long, overarching plan to deal with these issues on college campuses. It's not easy being the parent of 2 children in today's society. And when my kids started going on social media and all those things, and I said, well, I better be there because I want to see what they're doing, we have to have a lot of frank conversations earlier and earlier as they were growing up. And I remember the first time I had to talk to both my daughter and then my son about sexual activity, what was important, what to stay away from, what to watch out for. And I taught them no means no. And today, as I sit here and I watch the clock click down, I'm concerned about the message we are actually sending in the state of Connecticut. And it's for that reason, and many others, that I'll be voting no today. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The distinguished Republican leader.